for coming. Appreciate this. We do this every week on Tuesdays. Cyberbulls Space. Today, it's about this big event that happened last night. Tesla dropped actual Smart Summon as a new feature in FSD. And the way they described it was buckle up for the ride of your life, except surprise, you're not in the car. ASS, actually Smart Summon, allows your vehicle to come to you or head to a spot that you choose all on its own. It's like magic, but with more tech and less wand waving. So this is something that we've been waiting for a couple of years. It's the next generation of Smart Summon. It's here. And I believe that only the hardware 4 people have it, and just a small group so far received it late last night. And the videos that we've seen coming from AI Driver has been just unbelievable. Played it today, and you can see how the car is able to, in a parking lot, go around a roundabout in the right way, even though the car, the person was standing really close to the car, but it knew how to maneuver that. And then when you see the maps, the mapping data that they showed there is like obviously a satellite image, but it's so clear, it's so accurate. And this is just some random parking lot that AI Driver chose. And then in another way he did it, he stood in a one part of the parking lot and he called the car and it summoned, and it drives much faster than it usually does. So this is here. Both Elon and Ashok Alaswamy replied last night. Elon doing his normal, actually Smart Summon is fire emoji. And then Ashok saying, who's ready for some ASS? And then he put an asterisk, actually Smart Summon. So these guys do sound like they're quite excited about this. I personally think that this feature is incredibly important for Tesla's full self-driving. I've been saying for a long time now, I think this is kind of be the potentially the ChatGPT moment, when people see this in the parking lots, when people see a car driving without any passenger in it, they'll pull out their phones, they'll videotape this, it'll go on TikTok, and it could be the, finally where at least more than just the small percentage of us will see that, whoa, Tesla actually has a car that can drive itself. So let's chat about this. So let's go ahead. Jeff, why don't you start off?
Yeah, I mean, this is the pure AI neural net version of something that they actually launched, if you remember, a couple of years ago, through the old version of FSD prior to it being end-to-end neural net. So obviously this is a pretty big advancement, pretty big milestone. The thing I don't hear people talking about a lot, and what I'd like some others to dig into, and I am as well, is what are the sorry, there's a helicopter over here. What are the implications for the quarter from a rev rec perspective, as there's added functionality now to the full self-driving package. So I'm just wondering if there's any, I'm not wondering, I believe there will be, but we'll do your own research on it. I think there could be an impact in terms of adding that functionality to the full self-driving package and what Tesla can recognize. It's certainly something to look at and try to understand better. And if anybody wants to comment on that later, we can talk about it. But yeah, no, this is a big milestone. It's kind of the next step. The way I view it is it's the first step of unsupervised full self-driving. It's just, it's at 4 miles an hour, and it's in parking lots to start, but it's certainly that first step of doing that. So it's exciting to see. I can't wait. I've got a hardware 4 vehicle. I'm looking forward to them expanding. It looks like it just went out to a very super small, the first early few testers, and looking forward to it expanding.
Did you guys actually see those videos by AI Driver? I was incredibly impressed. Now, there was nobody there. There's no other cars, no other people, and it was late at night. But it still seemed to have reacted much differently than it used to, right? Before, you would summon it and it would be so friggin' slow. It just wasn't even worth it. This was moving at a speed that actually is worth it. You would actually do it. Now, it'd be curious to see how it acts if there's a bunch of people walking around, but I was incredibly impressed about that. Oh, there's Nick Gibbs. So Nick, Mr. FSD is here. Do you still believe FSD is here? Robotaxi is here, is what you said, actually, but go ahead.
Yeah, let me get mic check just in case.
Yeah, sound great. Yeah, a little echoey in a room, but that's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Put my headphones on a second. Yeah, exciting day. Unfortunately I don't have it yet. I've been checking my app for the update, but nothing yet on my end. But yeah, I don't know what all you guys have discussed at this point, but AI drivers videos this morning were just really impressive, especially the way it took that roundabout, the way it saw the you know parking lot barrier and went all the way around. I mean, it's cautious, but not too cautious. It definitely seems like they'll be able to ramp up the speed a little bit later, but it's drastically faster than what we saw. I guess dumb smart summons we call it now. But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, all of this is kind of coming to a a pressure point leading up to 1010, and it's just that it's wild to me that I get today's first day of the month, first day of the stock market, but it's almost like people don't see what's going on, and I guess they don't, or they don't care, or they're just waiting. But this is a pretty big deal that you didn't see discussed anywhere in any media.
Yeah, I would like to agree. I'm always I'd like to see, and by the way, it came out whatever at midnight Central Time, so I get it, and I appreciate the early download folks that they're able to just do it, have a good recording rig, and get video up. I think that's helpful for everybody, and I think they add tremendous value. I would, as time passes and either more people get it or they have the opportunity, I think taking it to a busier parking lot where you've got people walking in front of the car trying to back out, when you've got 2 or 3 cars trying to back out, you've got vehicles going the opposite direction. I think that would be interested to understand how it does. I mean, obviously you want it to go from point A to point B flawlessly, but the other thing is, like, what is the time involved? Is it acting, how far from natural, is it acting? Is there a way to quantify that? I think those are some of the interesting things to think about. Is just, let's see it with some traffic in front of it and see how it does. And this is their first release, and they're only going to make it better. The other thing I find interesting, I think that's helpful, besides, like, is there more rev rec as a result of this, also is just, is this now going to be gobs of training data for what you need for a robotaxi in terms of that last 10 to 20 feet of service to get somebody actually dropped off properly in a robotaxi environment? Is from a system design perspective, is actual smart summon and banish, are those the actual training grounds, the low speed training grounds for, full on robotaxi usage in that last 10 to 20 feet? If anybody's got some commentary on that, I think that I found that interesting.
Exactly. Hey, Xander, did you want to jump in? Have you seen those videos? I'm chatting with,
Yeah.
I'm
I
chatting with
saw
AI driver right now, but he's saying he can't jump into this space right now because he's, guess what, filming more summon videos. So
awesome. Yeah, I saw an Omar video with him in like the front passenger seat recording it. I thought that was awesome.
yeah, isn't that great? You can actually do that, right? Because
Yeah.
if you're in a parking lot, there's no one there. It's not as terrible as if you're trying to do this. We also have Jason from Tech AU. I know you're listening. I know it's super late your time in Australia, but if you can just jump in now or later, because I do want to talk about this this document that Tesla submitted to the Australian government, and it revealed a number of interesting tidbits about potential robotaxi features and considerations. So hopefully you can join in. Tech Geek Tesla, I know that you've been, before we get there, let's go to Nick. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna, didn't mean to interrupt your flow there, Herbert, but I was just gonna ask you, I guess that's do or die now on your prediction, huh? For the GPT viral moment. It's where in what? It's got to happen probably in the next month, which
You're gonna push me now, huh? Yeah, I mean, who here agrees with me? I think that this has potential. This has the most potential of anything I think that Tesla's doing. That people can do videos. They will go TikTok. It will go viral, and this is where people will go, "My God, robotaxi is here." If they see a driverless car, albeit inside a parking lot, people calling it while you're at Target or Walmart, and it picking you up at the lobby, at the front doors, and then you're dropping you off and let it go and drive itself back. That this is potentially the thing, right? So I don't know. So yeah, Tech Geek, bring you up there. I know you've been testing FSD quite a bit. Can't hear you. Okay. All right. Omar, welcome. So we've been watching, talking about actual Smart Summit. You're one of the only people that have been testing it along with AI Driver. And then I liked one of the comments you made, which was theoretically or technically, the number of if you add up all the parking lots in the United States, it's probably more than Waymo's jurisdiction of what they are able to drive right now. That was interesting calculation.
Yeah, so I'm definitely not one of the only people that has it. There are now thousands of people who have it on their cars.
A
Hard to
thousand?
believe.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, actually Smart Summit has been testing with employees since 12.3. So they've been working on this for a long time. And there are thousands of cars that are running it already. I mean, it's just starting to go out. It hasn't even been out in customers' hands for 24 hours at this point. But people are starting to get it. It has a brand new version of FSD 12.5.3. And I mean, the driving model is not only significantly better. I mean, honestly, it's shocking. It's the most lifelike self-driving I've ever seen. I mean, I haven't had a single intervention. It made maybe one mistake where it turned right from a left turn lane. Um, on, on a, but it kind of it wasn't that like the right turn lane and the left turn lane were next to each other. But other than that, there were no interventions of any kind. So it's getting very good at getting from point A to point B entirely on its own. And then the actually smart summon, seeing the FSD stack work driverlessly for the first time, it's like magic, just standing on the outside of your car and seeing it drive around on its own. You realize that not only is this possible, you're seeing it in front of your eyes. And then, of course, you can sit in the back seat or have a passenger in your car and use Summon, and you can see what it's going to feel like to be able to be in the back seat of your Tesla and have it driving. And so far, it's performed pretty much perfectly. I haven't done too much difficult testing, but maybe I'll do some more after this. And the mobile app shows the live cameras while it's driving, so you can monitor it more easily. And yeah, I think it's going to be a viral feature for sure. I mean, just yesterday in the LAX parking lot where I was using it, you could see somebody walk by and they just did a double take when they saw the car walking without a driver. I mean, you see it also with Waymo. When there's no driver, people are always stopping, they're taking pictures, they're saying, wow. And with FSD, when somebody's using FSD, you don't know. It still looks like there's a human behind the wheel. This is the first time people are going to start seeing commonly Teslas moving around without drivers.
I wish are you going to be able to test it out right now in front of like a lot more people in a very busy parking lot? I want to see how it behaves. Is it like stop and go? Is it too cautious? Is it too dangerous? Is it, smart enough to do this, or is it going to just stop the whole time and wait? I mean, if there was a lot of pedestrians, I would be stopped and wait regardless if I was driving in a parking lot too, right?
I mean, it doesn't really get stuck or stop and wait or anything like that from what I've seen. If you've tried FSD in the parking lot, you probably have a sense of how it's going to perform. And this new model performs even better in the parking lot, even when you're in FSD supervised mode. So I'm sure, obviously it's very early. People are going to put it through a lot of tests. There's a bunch of people on Hardware 3 who just got it. So I'm sure it's going to be put through a number of tough scenarios, and we're going to see how good it is. And it'll continue to evolve as the FSD model improves too.
How do you guys know? How do you think it knows? Because I saw, didn't you have that feature or somebody that if you're trying to do actual smart summon, but you're outside of the parking lot, it knows that you stepped outside of the parking lot and it won't even let you do it, right?
Right, you can't use it on public roads, so you can use it to pull your car out of the garage and out of your driveway onto the road, or you can also use it to pull out of a parking spot. On public roads, you need to be behind the wheel to use FSD.
Yeah, I have a Model 3 with hardware 4 and don't have smart summon yet, but I have a twisty turn curved driveway, and you can see that the car knows exactly that this is a perfect a driveway that you can drive through. And then of course there's where the stairs are, and that could look like it's a place that you can drive the car in, but it knew not that you can't do that. So if it already can map it out, you know that this can do it. He'll be able to take over. So that's going to be exciting. Go ahead. I know we asked for you, Tech Geek. Come on up. Yeah.
Thank you, Herbert. I think my microphone's working now.
Yes.
Yes, Omar is correct. So Hardware 3 vehicles are getting it right now. It just finished installing on my Intel CPU here in Chicago. And it took about 25 to 30 minutes. And I was on 12.5.1.3 or 12.5.1.5, excuse me, prior. So I'm not sure, because previously all updates would take 40 to 45 minutes to install. So I found that interesting. But what's even more interesting is that this is 2024.27.20, which is FSD 12.5.3. So this is the first time that we're seeing AI4 and AI3 vehicles on the same version of FSD. And I think that's a really big deal. I'm about to test it out here. I'm going to take it over to a Costco parking lot and put it through the ultimate stress test.
It's a big one.
Right around rush hour here as well. So should be a really fascinating test. I'm going to.
When are you going to be there? Can you stay online and?
It's about a 15-minute drive from my house here, but okay. I'm considering doing it live. I'm considering doing it live. But yeah, really excited to test it out. Obviously, since it's the first time, I'm going to have to lean on you, Omar. I think you're the only one in the room who's tested this. Is it safe to test in that environment for the very first time?
As long as you're watching it, it should be fine.
Okay, and you can see through the app, you can see which
Keep
cameras.
the car within your eyesight so you can lift your finger up if there's some issue. But yeah, it will also show you the live cameras in the app.
All of them or just the front?
I think one camera at a time. So if it's reversing, it'll show you the reverse. If it's forward, it'll show you the forward. But you may be able to tap that and see all four at the same time.
Got it. Looking forward to testing it.
I have seen a view when you start it up that shows all four. But yeah, the fact that it's the same build number as hardware 4 is potentially very significant. That could, it's not 100%, but it could mean that they've done what Ashok said and made the changes to the compiler necessary for hardware 4 to run the same model. Hardware 3 to run the same model as hardware 4. The hardware 3 version we got so far was pretty good, but it wasn't quite as good as hardware 4. And I did hear a lot more people complaining about regressions on hardware 3 compared to hardware 4. If they've been able to get the hardware 4 model running, that should be a significant jump in driving performance for hardware 3.
Yeah, I think that's big news. I'm glad that was shared. Thanks for going through that. And you don't have to name the city, but I think I know which Costco you're going to, and that is one hell of a parking lot. Good luck.
Thanks. Fingers crossed.
Hey, Omar. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I understand that the summon radius is 216 feet. I saw that somewhere in a post. Just wondering if Omar can confirm that. I obviously will be confirming it here very shortly, but that was one thing I was very curious about.
Yeah, it looks to be about the same as before, maybe a little bit bigger. They did mention in the release notes that they're working on extending the radius and making it even larger.
Cool. Okay.
And
Thanks.
getting rid of the continuous button press. I saw that too in the future.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Just press once and then it comes to you.
Great.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, Omar, just curious. So this is asked, but was there anything for Banish, or does it appear like that would be a separate update? And just another question real quick. I saw with, I think, AI driver that, we saw it do a 3-point turn. Have you seen with the new update any kind of reverse or have you tested it for a 3-point turn to see what it would do? Thanks.
Yeah, so Banish isn't in this update. It's just actually Smart Summon. So Banish is just going to be kind of like actually Smart Summon, except it goes and finds a parking spot and then initiates auto park. So that'll be coming in a future update. After that's shipped and Highway has been taken end to end, they've now taken the one end to end stack and it's now handling everything from parking lots to city streets to highways. And we can officially call it, I think, at that point, pretty close to feature complete. So this is pretty big, and I think they'll probably have that done by the end of the year. So Banish is coming in a future update. As for the reverse, Ashok did say once they merge the summon in, it should be able to reverse. It's been less than 24 hours. I haven't seen any situations yet where it would have to reverse, but I haven't seen it yet. So I
3-point
haven't heard
turn.
anyone mention it either. But you can always turn on summon and then get it to reverse that way.
Yeah, I want to be more precise about what features are required and when you think it's going to come for feature complete. Before we get there, do you guys think that this new feature, Jeff had mentioned that it should increase the revenue recognition for the next quarter, but what about increasing FSD sales? I would think personally that people who want to check out FSD, but also like who find value in FSD paying the monthly fee, this could be something. Is it just a toy? Is it just a hobby? Oh, look, it's cool. Or do you think that it actually has a value? People will go, wow, this is not just cool. This is something that's going to be helpful for me.
Well, it's definitely more on the it's cool side. There are some use cases, maybe it's like raining or something and you don't want to go walk to your car. But mostly it's just, hey, look what my car can do. It can come pull out of its parking spot and drive up to me driverlessly at the front of the store or at the front of the office parking lot or whatever. I mean, they're going to send out a free trial. They've now started sending out a second round of free trials to people. So everybody's going to get a free trial of this new actually smart summon where their car can come drive to them without a driver. And good luck resisting subscribing for $99 when you see what the latest FSD can do and you see your car come pick you up driverlessly. It's just too cool not to subscribe to unless you don't have the money.
How about other people? Do you guys think this is just cool or there's a real value to this? I mean, like some people find parking as close as possible to the front because they don't want to walk. So they're very careful.
These things aren't binary. I think they're cumulative in effect. So yeah, it's going to have some non-zero impact, especially if it's working well, it's working repeatedly, reliably. The other thing is like since from a couple of years ago to now, Tesla's done a lot of stuff with like their Bluetooth energy and improving that, and even like if you owned a Model X forever, it presenting the door, it was kind of weird, it wasn't working right, and now they've really improved that in the most recent releases. So I think going end-to-end neural nets and then all the Bluetooth flow. I'm hoping, because I remember when this was a feature before, again on the old FSD, it was kind of awkward. Sometimes it would stop like 10 feet in front of you. And I'd be curious to know, is it really like pulling up to you repeatedly now and reliably? Do you see that, Omar? Was it pulling right up to you now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, what do you mean pull right up to you?
Well, like I said, when when this was integrated prior, again, completely different FSD, completely different everything. Sometimes, my car would stop like 10 feet in front of me, or it would, stop in some awkward spot. I'm just wondering now, does it literally like almost like a chauffeur, like pull up right in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, it just literally stops exactly where you would expect.
Yeah,
It
good.
uses your GPS location on your phone and just comes to that exact point, and it can actually see you now and come up to where it sees you.
Wow, that is so cool. And then
Yeah,
when
and I'm
you,
wondering,
yeah,
yeah, I'm wondering what part of that is computer vision versus Bluetooth, but I don't, low energy, but yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of computer vision and GPS. So, you know,
Interesting.
it's the FSD model, right? So it has the same type of it's just incredibly lifelike. Like you wouldn't guess that there's not a person behind the driver's seat if you couldn't see that they weren't there. And one thing that I like that I noticed is they actually turn on the lights inside the car when it's running so everyone can see that there's no driver inside.
yeah, an
That's
AI
awesome.
driver said that the fog lights were also on, I guess, to just open up as many lights as possible so the car can see more.
Yeah, one more thing, Omar, I was saying earlier before you joined, I would just be interested in your opinion. One of the big pieces I think Tesla's been missing in their training data is that last 10 to 20 feet of, pulling up the curves, picking up people, and then the car, going away, because a lot of people click out of it, especially if they're trying to navigate a busy, you know, drop off at an airport or a drop off in Vegas or whatever. And I'm wondering if, Tesla now releasing this, getting this out to, hundreds of thousands of vehicles, is this data going to be that gold mine for doing the last 10 to 20 feet of training, for robotaxi, for drop off and pickup? What your thoughts are on that?
Yeah, I mean, practice makes perfect. I mean, this has always been their approach, just incrementally handling more and more. This is a new territory they're exploring now, parking lots, picking people up, finding people. And I think we're going to see it gradually expand over time. They've talked about expanding the radius, then expanding, for example, not needing the continuous press. In the future, we could see it work, maybe even on city streets. I would say maybe, all right, maybe start from midnight to 4 a.m. Cars can come drive around, or hey, cars can drive within 1 mile to come meet somebody. They'll sort of continue to expand this. And, once you sit in the back of your car and you see it driving around without a driver, it just becomes easier and easier to believe that your car will be able to drive without a driver on city streets. And that's going to change autonomy expectations among the customer base.
Okay, let's invite Wit up here.
Hey Omar, I saw on your video when you were riding in the back seat, it looked like they had updated the UI to match the Cybertruck to show swing when you turn the wheel, like on the parking. Is that true? Like how it shows? Because before it was just like two lines coming out of the front, but now it's showing like space to the left and right, kind of like on Cybertruck on the with the park assist. Did they update that or?
Yeah, I think they did. It's a subtle change, but they've unified that.
So can this feature now work in any parking lot in the entire United States?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that people don't realize is FSD doesn't actually need a driver behind the wheel from a technical perspective. It's purely from a liability perspective that we put a driver behind the wheel so that they can take over and stop the software from making a mistake. As the models get better and better, the need to have that person just becomes less and less. And now they feel comfortable turning it on in parking lots at low speed, under 10 miles an hour. They feel comfortable that they can have it operate driverlessly and it can do pretty well. Still under human supervision, of course, but you don't need to be in the car. And I think really as they continue to bring up this Cortex data center, we really haven't seen anything yet in terms of what the model performance is going to be. Like I was just in a Waymo coming back here, and I was just stunned by how jerky and just behind in terms of the driving experience it feels like. And then when you look at the Tesla, my Tesla now hasn't had any intervention since I got this update, granted less than a day. And the driving feel is actually getting more comfortable and human-like than Waymo. It's quickly becoming just hands down the best self-driving system in the world, even within Waymo service area.
Go ahead, what?
So I'm on the 12.5.1 branch, and I've noticed that the auto speed, it works amazing in the city, but when I go into the country where it's just like long straight roads that are 55, it never wants to go 55, no matter if I put in chill, average, or assertive. And I didn't know if the dot three kind of addressed some of those auto speed changes, if you really had a chance to
Yeah,
mess with that.
12.5.3 does have some big improvements to auto speed. You see far less incidences of, and I haven't left the city, but you see far less examples of it driving too slow. So they seem to have done some good work on auto speed. For people who are having trouble with auto speed driving too slow, I recommend either pushing the accelerator, and sometimes it'll stay on the higher speed, or also just turning auto speed off for a section where it's not working well and just go back to setting the speed yourself.
Yeah, even when I've set the speed in the country. Now in the city it works like amazing, but like in the country, like even when I set the speed, it doesn't really ever want to reach that max speed. And then sometimes I've noticed I'll be driving and it just wants to drive super aggressive, which is like great, it's going 7 or 8 over. But then sometimes it wants to go like 500, and I didn't know if, I mean, I know you haven't had it but less than 24 hours. I didn't know if the three driving profiles, if you noticed a difference, or if you messed up, with changing them, if it made any driving
Yeah.
changes.
I mean, they're definitely working on this. There's some issues with the auto speed, but it seems to be better in 12.5.3. A lot of these things are really features or improvements that show up as bugs. So the feature is, hey, it doesn't drive too fast and run off the road if the road doesn't support driving at that speed. But then also sometimes it slows down too much. So I think people will see a
Yeah.
big difference in 12.5.3.
12.5.3
I
have the highway.
personally think that's what's.
Oh,
I was just saying. I personally think that's what's kept them from shipping the highway stack end to end, because of some of the speed issues.
It could be.
But I don't know.
It could be.
So Jeff, I don't know if you noticed, but in the release notes for actually Smart Summit, it does say that you have the ability to pick a spot that you choose, and then the car will go there. And so, if in your parking spot, right, in a parking lot, and you can pick a parking spot, right? That's like what, I don't know, 10 feet by 4 feet. Imagine if you're in your driveway and you're driving home, last mile of a robotaxi, and you tell the car, drop me off right in front of my driveway, right here. Don't go inside my driveway. Park right in front of the mailbox or something. You can press for your finger and place exactly where you want to be dropped off. That seems like it's what they're headed towards, right, guys?
yeah, it seems like it's incrementally getting there.
Well, when they talk about take me to a spot, they're not talking about a parking spot. They just mean a point on the map. So it can come to your GPS location as per your phone, or you can set a target and it can drive there, just like the old Smart Summon. And by the way, let's talk about these release notes. For some reason, they
Yep.
decided to publish a release notes written by Grok.
Yep.
And, you know, it's amusing, but I recommend Tesla change it to something more serious. Like, this is a serious feature, you know, and maybe I'm just being a buzzkill here, but I don't think NHTSA is necessarily going to be that amused. People tend not to read long walls of text, so I would just keep it short and concise and make sure people understand that they need to watch their car and make sure it doesn't do anything that's going to damage the car or somebody's property or another person.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the release notes. The only weird part is the names, right? Actually, Smart Summon is ASS, and then they called the other kind of summon Dumb Summon. Allows you to move your Tesla forward or back with simple controls directly in the app. So that's still a potential. Just move it forward, move it back. That's still there, right?
I like
Maybe.
the name Ass, but, say, I don't know, come hither and some of the stuff that Grok wrote. It's, maybe could be a little more concise.
Do you think it could be Easter egg?
Well, what's the Easter egg?
That was written by Grok?
When I saw that, it says
The description text, huh?
Yeah. It says
Grok
go
guys
to Target.
and be happy.
Yeah, and you can go to a Target, and I thought that's Target, the store. Realize, okay, go to any Target that you choose. But you're still responsible for the vehicle, so that is the way that is said, right? You are still responsible for the liability of this at this point. But that's why they let you have the cameras. That's why right now they're letting you press the button. Do you think that at some point they will take responsibility for this?
Yeah, at some point they'll take responsibility for it, but not today. So someone's going to come in here next week and say, hey, I got actually smart summon and I curbed my rims. Tesla needs to buy me new rims. You need to watch and make sure it doesn't curb your rims. If it's going to curb your rims, lift up your finger and stop it, because there's no guarantee they're going to fix any damage that you do to the car, even if it's completely because the software made a mistake. You need to supervise just like when you're in the car and be ready to take over. When you're outside the car, you take over by lifting up your finger from the phone.
Okay, so let's just review. I know you said it a little bit earlier, but I just want to be clear. What are the features still missing? So they've now launched actually Smart Summon. That will go a little bit more wide. This is now available, it looks like, in both hardware 4 and 3. Then you've got, we're still waiting for Banish, which is the ability for the car to find a parking spot on its own, and then reverse, and then the stack merging. And then earlier you said you'll see all of this by the end of this year, but weren't we being promised that it was going to happen like by now? What are the features that we're waiting for, guys?
I mean, there really aren't any. There's just Banish, that's it. Other than that, they've implemented the entire driving stack.
Wait,
Pulling out of a parking spot, getting onto the city streets, getting onto the highway, getting off the highway, parking. The only little piece that's missing is after you get there, you have to press the brake and then select the spot yourself. So it just needs to go and find the spot itself. You literally don't even have to drive anymore. You can go run errands all day, summon your car out of the parking spot, give it the destination, have it drive there, auto park when it gets there, and then do it all over again. You literally do not need to drive.
So Xander called my name out, my thought-provoking question. And it has to do with FSD and the Department of Motor Vehicles. I've been teaching.
Oh boy.
Myself, showing him how FSD works. And the car drives itself, right? But when he gets in the car, of course, he has to manually drive. And the hardest thing for a 16-year-old to do is parallel park. So this is more of an open-ended question for anyone that wants to take a stab. At what point is the Department of Motor Vehicles going to recognize full self-driving and not have our kids take motor vehicles driver's license test anymore?
I mean, one thing I can tell you for certain is a kid born today is not going to get a driver's license. It won't be necessary in 16 years.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.